I'd like to call the Selectmen's meeting to order for Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. Before we get started, I have a couple things. One is we owe a lot of thanks to Brian DeShays, one of our selectmen over here on the far right of me, for all the effort he put into the light show that we had downtown the other night. I thought it went off really well with the Mount Washington 150th party. Brian, thank you for all your effort. And also, if anybody's here tonight to deal with a road of any type, either acceptance or discussion of roads, that will not happen tonight. So if you are here and are waiting to get involved with roads, none of that is on our agenda tonight, so none of it will be taken up. Okay, is there any reason for non-public tonight, Mr. Manager?
We have two reasons to go into non-public. Two items for non-public, legal and employment, and also under new business, if you would table the Trask Mountain Road issue.
Okay. Next on the agenda is consideration of minutes, August 3rd, 2022.
Would you like to?
Relatively short meeting, so.
Would you like a
Yes.
motion? I move that we accept the minutes of August 3rd as written.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have a public hearing. Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 17th, 2022, 6:30 at the Great Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire. Consideration of a temporary event permit for Kingswood Athletics Boosters to hold a 5K on the Lakes Region Conservation Trust Sewell Woods on October 8th, 2022, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yes, I submitted the permit. My name's Amy Edmonds.
Is that, hang on.
I think that
Is
may
on,
need to be
Jim?
turned on.
It's on. Okay, I'll get closer. Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, I live in Wolfeboro. My kids go to Kingswood High School, and I'm a member of the Kingswood Athletic Boosters Group. We're trying to hold a community event in Sewell Woods on October 8th. And that's what I submitted to you. Our only change is in the section where it says event liability. It will be through Avery Insurance as opposed to through the school district. But we do have permission from the Lakes Region Conservation Trust for use of Sewell Woods on October 8th from the time that I outlined on the application.
Do you have any questions at this point?
I just have one question. Do you have a written response from the Conservation Trust?
I do.
Okay,
Yep,
that would be good, because usually they sign our application. If you just give it to us, then we have all we need.
Yeah, I attached it, and I thought I had Amy send it to you on Monday, but maybe it didn't get, did it not get to everybody? Okay, so would you like a copy?
You can just give it to the town manager, and he can make sure that it goes in the,
Thank you.
with the documents. Thank you, Amy.
Yep.
Okay, this being a public hearing, anybody in the public want to make any suggestions or whatever? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board? Entertain a motion.
Yeah, make a motion to approve a temporary event permit for Kingswood Athletics Boosters to hold a 5K on the Lakes Region Conservation Trust Sewell Woods on October 8th, 2022, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Permit number 2022-67.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a bulk vote. This includes weekly manifests, tent to cut, also property tax abatements. Somebody want to make a motion to approve the bulk vote?
I'll make a motion to approve the bulk vote as submitted,
A through C.
A through C, and that includes the Camp Bernadette abatement.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. No appointment, any new business? Okay, the next appointment is Joe Santoro, expanded pickleball court concept idea.
Good evening. Seems I've been before you before several times. I'm here to talk about a potential enhancement to town property and its consequence, or perhaps its benefit for the rest of the community. To go back a few years, Dave, you know, you and I for 20 years went back and forth as chairman of the budget committee, altering positions. And one time, about 40 years ago, I was also chairman of the trustee of trust funds, working with your father-in-law. And what we did back then was take a pile of dirt that used to be an old gas station and convert it to the park that you see now we call Kate. And because we did that, because we altered town property, many other things happened. Doug Cady came in and put in a grand bandstand. People get married there, and a lot of people now are enjoying that happened because we changed the past. Well, tonight we're here to talk about another change to our past, and that would be an enhancement to Foss Field. We believe that by expanding its use based upon current needs, we can improve what the town itself experiences, as well as what the people here in the community seem to want. Bill, if you will, we propose converting the existing pickleball and tennis courts to a larger facility to include housing a facility that embraces not only pickleball but also tennis on a year-round basis. What you see before you is a schematic drawn by myself, who is not an architect, but hopefully will get you some premise or thinking about what we would like to do if we get your consent to go to the next level, which would be to have a professional evaluate what we're proposing. If you look at the diagram to the right, you'll see 5 tennis courts, actually 4 tennis courts and a pickleball court. 1, 2, 3, 4, with the pickleball courts in the extreme right-hand side. Since the advent of pickleball in Wolfeboro in 2015 on a regular basis, we have grown to just casual use to large-scale tournament play. Starting in 2015 with just 40 players, we now have almost 400 who come here on a regular basis, and we think that has been a boon to the town as well as a response to the interests of the people in our community. What we're suggesting is we take those last 2 tennis and pickleball courts and house them, encase them in a real building, not just a covering, but a real building that would be heated in the wintertime, air-conditioned in the summertime, and allow those racquetball players, both pickleball and tennis, to have year-round, all-weather access to the sport they love. To the left of the existing pickleball courts, you'll see that I've drawn a potential for 8 new pickleball courts. Those 8 courts would be dedicated courts, tournament regulation, and allow us to have even larger tournaments in the community, which means, of course, more business for the restaurants, the hotels, and the stores in town. We believe we can do this with minimal cost impact to the town of Wolfeboro. As a matter of fact, we have a generous benefactor who is providing us the incentive as well as the financial support to make this happen, if, of course, we have your approval. We know that a professional architect needs to be hired. Dave Ford has suggested that we use the one who's modifying the Abenaki ski area so that we can integrate some of his proposals with what we want to do for an overall enhancement to what the town has to offer to its citizens as well as local community people who play pickleball and tennis sports as well. But more than that, we hope to even beautify Foss Field to improve some of the areas that currently suffer from water damage, but also solve still another problem, the problem up at Brewster Academy with regard to the veterans. As you're aware, the veterans have been encouraged to move their monuments from Brewster Field to some other location. If you look at the lower left-hand side of this particular diagram, you'll see in orange a suggested place for the War Memorial, to bring those monuments down, to position them where everyone can see them, not just rushing traffic that never sees them when they go by anyway, but a place for visitors and townspeople alike to enjoy that monument, to enjoy that dedication to those who have worn the uniform in defense of our country, and still have access to a park. That's what the green area represents. It would still be a beautiful area for people to walk with their dogs, stroll among the trees, sit on a park bench, and still be able to enjoy racket sports, in particular pickleball and tennis. Are there any questions you have of me?
Yeah, I think you brought up a couple things. One is, oh, there's a bunch of them in my mind anyway. The building, what's it going to look like? How big is it going to be? You know, those kinds of things. Who pays? Who's going to pay for power and all that stuff? If it's going to be part of our Parks and Rec budget, if that's what you anticipate. Obviously, that needs to go through the Budget Committee. The other thing is, I'm assuming that we probably need to have some planning done through the Planning Department, also through, as you mentioned, an architect or whatever. And I'm assuming that your group may be paying for that?
We are.
Part of it?
Yep.
Okay. And I just would like to see what this is going to look like on the ground as far as how much space will be left over. There will be open space because that, quote, field area, if you will, open field is used for the rec department for movies and that kind of thing. So that has to be worked out with the the rec department. Also sound barriers, which you show on here. I think that's going to be important if we have that many courts working at one time. So I think you have obviously a little more work to do, but I think that the idea, I'll speak for myself, I don't have a problem with the idea of it. I just would like to see more information and more dollars and cents, if you will, because as you know, being on the Budget Committee, that's pretty important for them to look at as well.
It is, and we intend to address every one of those issues. All we want tonight is simply a green light that says, go study. We're not looking for any final decisions tonight, other than to say, yes, you have our permission to do a feasibility study and come back and see if it fits in with the plans the selectmen of the town have.
Brian?
First, and it's okay, but I wish you would come here first before announcing it down at Foss Field. That would have been nice, because we've had some problems recently with people doing things before asking. A second thing is I was talking to Christine, and I don't know if we found out, Jim, but is that a dedicated green space that can't be altered behind the tennis courts or not? Because there's a question of whether it is or isn't.
Haven't done the research to this point.
So that needs to be figured out. The kids play soccer there, the younger kids doing their instructional soccer. So you'll be wiping away their soccer court or their soccer field. Where are you going to put them? There's going to be runoff from the building and from all the asphalt from those courts. Right now, they say the runoff from overdevelopment around the lake pollutes the lake as much as when we did direct discharge from factories and sewage into our lake. So you now have a building and a whole bunch more asphalt that's going to run into the brook and run into Back Bay, which is already a place that we're trying to remediate problems. And I see 10 pickleball courts, and I equate them a little bit to our town docks. The voters didn't want to extend our town docks because they know that the town docks are busy in July and August, but they sit vacant a lot the rest of the year. Are you telling me that you're going to have 10 pickleball courts full with people from 8 in the morning till 7 at night all year long?
Well, let me start by,
Or, one question, or is this amount of courts just for your few tournaments a year? Are you building for the maximum, or are you building for the daily use? I think we need daily use, not for the maximum that we need. So I have a lot of questions about it.
well, Brian, let me try to address the first comment you made, and I'll take the others in sequence. Yes, we did make an announcement at Foss Field, but that was after certain things happened. After we briefed the town manager, after we briefed the Public Works Department, after it was put on the Selectmen's agenda and for people to see. So there was no surprise, maybe to some, but not to everyone. It was all coordinated in advance.
I would beg to differ, but
Well, is it true? Did we talk to the town manager? Yes. Did we talk to Public Works? Yes. Did we talk to a couple of selectmen? Yes. So all that happened before the announcement on August 4th. As far as the other things are concerned, I think they're all legitimate questions. But that's what we're looking for here, is a site assessment. We're not saying go ahead and bless this project right now, but I think in fairness to the people who use the community's facilities, we owe them an obligation to do our research, not have one person's opinion, but have professional opinions render a decision. And to thank you.
Yeah, I have a question, and it is, are you looking to do the year-round facility as one phase and the courts as another, or are you looking at doing this all as one large project?
But logistically, Linda, that depends upon what you allow us to do. I think what we'd like to do is have that indoor facility because it maximizes its use to the people in town. We have so much strain in the pickleball community right now. To give you an example, Kingswood High School has a difficult time training their people. This indoor facility would be available for the school system to use their courts. They would be allowed to use them year-round, just as we would try to use them year-round. The tournament courts, yes, they get used a lot in the wintertime, but I can tell you right now that in the summertime, without tournaments, we often have 40 to 50 people standing around waiting to use the existing courts. It's a melee down there. So it's not just for tournaments, Brian, or for the others. It's for year-round summertime use for everyone. Yes.
So you're going to try to do the whole, when I say phased, I mean you're going to do the whole project at once, or are you going to focus on the winter one and then eventually the expansion? I will say I take the trolley downtown, and one of my walks around is to go down there, and the parking lot on Glendon Street is filled with pickleball players, and I can see your shirts all over the place. So I have noticed that it has grown and grown. My grandson plays pickleball. I understand that. I'm comfortable with you going ahead and looking at a feasibility study, realizing it is not a permission or a go-ahead from the Board of Selectmen. I'm comfortable with that.
Thank you, and that's all it is. It's just, can we provide you with a professional study for you to make an intelligent decision about what to do next?
I have no issue with that. Brad?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said here. It's conceptually, it's a very interesting idea, Joe. I would like to see it go to the next level to do the feasibility study and, bring on a parks architect type person to really put this thing to scale too, so we can see, as Brian pointed out, what's left for the size of the field. Work with Christine on, is that what's left there, is that going to be large enough for the youth soccer program to use and the movie program and stuff like that. And also, we haven't heard, and we've talked to the Legion and stuff about the Veterans Memorial being moved there and stuff, the logistics of that, make sure they're on board, obviously, how that's going to be put in play down there, where it's going to be located, along the pathways and things like that. So yeah, I'm definitely in favor of, taking it to the next step here to explore it and come back with more details and kind of go from there.
Well, thank you. Yes, the Legion is represented here tonight. We've talked about it before. In fact, last year, you gave us permission to talk about relocating the monuments. And we also have a representative here from the Wolfeboro Racketeers, who I believe is somewhat optimistic about what we propose to do. Oh, there you are. Okay. So, yes, this is not a slam dunk. You probably will raise some issues we haven't thought about, but at least give our minds an opportunity to flush them out.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow the pickleball organization to move forward with a feasibility study, understanding it is not an approval.
Right.
Somebody second that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 4-1. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Expect to hear from you. Okay, B on our agenda, Class 6 road agreement, Trask Mountain. That's, somebody want to make a motion to table that?
I'll make a motion to table the Class 6 agreement on Trask Mountain Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is Sidewalk Capital Reserve Public Works. Jim?
Yeah, so Dave Ford can't be here tonight, so I'll brief you on the topic. If you recall this past year, we raised and appropriated $75,000 to put into a capital reserve fund for sidewalk repairs. Dave has done a quick analysis of a few of our sidewalks. We need work on these sidewalks. There are many of them that are in poor shape. So he is recommending that right now he's got a preliminary budget of $65,000 to do repairs on the following. North Main Street, 250 feet of pavement, asphalt, Corinthian Way to Sewell Road. Central Avenue extension, across from the train station, approximately 180 feet, reset the curb, and 4 inches of concrete to match the entrances. And South Main Street in the area of Morrissey's parking lot, approximately 160 feet, remove the pavement down 12 inches, reset the curbs, and put in 4 inches of gravel and concrete, and do some catch basin work as well. I'd like to have the board authorize this, as you are the trustees of this account. And if you recall, we did appropriate $75,000, and Dave's anticipating $65,000. Any questions you have, I will try to answer for you.
Dave, I'll just make a statement. It's very obvious from the pictures we have here that these sidewalks are in dire need of some work. That's why I believe we set up the capital reserve account. I hope we add to it again next year, and it's important that we take care of our sidewalks. So I'm in support of this.
Is that a motion?
So moved. $65,000 for sidewalks out of the sidewalk
Do I have a
capital
second?
reserve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, disaster recovery plan and updated harassment policy, HR.
Can we table this? Michelle is not here yet,
Okay?
and move to until she gets back.
Okay.
You need a motion to table it, or are you just moving it to?
Move it to the end of the agenda, I'm sorry.
I'll
She
move,
will-
I'll
She
move
supposedly
to,
will be here.
I'll move it to the end of the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is budget report. Casey.
Close. Good evening. I'm here for the monthly review of the financials for the town of Wolfeboro. Kathy Carpentier, the finance director. I have prepared the July 2022 budget reports. We're about 68% spent, which is about 10% more than a 7-month average of 58%. That number's a little skewed for anticipated things, like the bond payments have already been made for the full year. Funds have already gone to the capital reserve. So some of those things are skewing the number, but we do not have any areas of concern at this point. We continue to keep a close eye on fuel. We're inching close to using up the whole budget, but we have some contingency plans in place. The town manager has identified them. Let's see, what else? The general fund revenues are at 57%, which is right on track for 7 months through the year. We've billed out the first tax bill, which was a big chunk of that. We've also been informed that we're going to get about a little over $400,000 in unanticipated revenues from the state, $140,000 for New Hampshire Retirement System, $152,000 for Highway Block Grant, and $112,000 for Bridge Aid, which is slightly over $400,000. Some of those won't be in till December, but we are anticipating getting them in 2022. Water fund is at expended 47%, electric 70%, sewer 45%, and Pop Whalen at 68%. I've also given you the donation report and the capital reserve fund report, and I do not have any issues or concerns to point out to you at this time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Casey.
You are welcome. Have a good night.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Libby trustee meeting.
Would you like a motion to go into the Libby trustees meeting?
Sure.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Brad, do you want to take on this first part of it with Bowen Corp.?
Sure, I can talk a little bit. I'm sure Jim can too here. We did have a meeting with Bowen, preliminary meeting to go over the scope of the project or what we'd like them to provide to us for service, which is a detailed, updated cost estimate for the renovation and addition onto the Libby Museum. As you see here in the email, his quote came back, it would be between $6,000 and $8,400. With some little bit of detail in it, not a lot. Some of the larger items, he would go right to actual vendors. A few of the numbers they would use a per square foot cost estimate for some of the normal building type construction going on there. I don't know if Jim has any more he wants to add to that, or?
Yeah, I would just add that this is a very reputable construction management firm. One of the items that we've been discussing heavily with a lot of these projects going forward is to try to secure multiple estimates on pricing before we get into the project. And I provided you a document that early on, the first architect we had estimated this project to be between $3.35 and $4 million. So this is going to give us a good handle on what this project is actually going to cost the town, the taxpayers, and the Friends of the Libby Museum. It's not discrediting anything that's already been done. It's just a price check.
And I also think it's important too, we need to really have a good, accurate number when we come toward our budget season coming up here. We need to have something pretty well nailed down that we can make our decisions on and present to the voters in March. So I think this is very important to have, and I'd recommend going forward with this.
I support it. I think it makes a lot of sense to get a second opinion on a quote with the fluctuation in prices today, and we need it before we try to put anything out to the voters. So I am in support.
I am too. I was asking for this 6 months ago when I wanted to know what our costs were when we first started discussing with the Friends of the Libby, because I wanted, it might have moved my thought process knowing where we were going to end up.
Okay, would you like to make a motion that we go ahead with Bowen Corp.?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion?
Just a housekeeping item on this. Where would the board like to take the funds to pay for this from? We have funds in both the Schroff account and we have funds in the capital reserve fund that we established, which falls in the purpose of both of those groups.
Any
I'd
ideas?
think the Schroth Fund myself.
That's where I would
Sure,
go. Yeah, that's where I'd go.
If I could just,
Make that part of your motion, Brian?
Yeah.
Did it come out of the Shaw Fund?
Yeah, move to approve the $600 to $8,400 independent price check by Bauer Corporation, removing the funds from the Schroff Fund.
Second.
You okay with that, Luke? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, MCR collection space assessment. Jim,
so
you want
you had already approved
to? Right,
this. This is just basically an FYI for them to come in, do an analysis of the artifacts and what it's going to take to store those, move those for the proposed construction. That'll give us an idea of what that's going to cost in the budget.
okay.
I just have one comment on the second page. It says that the report is going to go to the Friends of the Libby Museum. I think it should come to us.
Agreed.
And will you make that change?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And next is the WCTV. Brad?
Yeah, the Friends, actually, they did this last week. They did put together a 10-minute video about the project, the upcoming proposed project at the Libby Museum. Tom Goodwin and Lauren Hammond did the presentation up there and stuff. And they had asked earlier, just before, if I would participate in speaking for the town and in the agreement and everything there, and we felt that it was important to have board permission first. So that's already happened. I don't know if you wanted to go through this in case they do another one in the near future. If you want me to participate in it or not, to explain where the town is in the agreement process and stuff, or that's kind of what this is all about.
I personally don't have any problem. You're pretty familiar with it, so. Anybody else have an issue?
I don't have any problem.
Okay.
Before we go out of the Libby meeting, I have some concerns that I think we need to get working on if we're going to get a warrant article out, if they raise the money. And they gave us a draft business and operating plan, and I think it needs to be a meeting so we make sure that we're in agreement. There's some wording in there that I think we may need to have some clarity. One is the collection is on both of our columns. What role do each of us going to have in that? But it's just a meeting. So this was draft one. I hope we can get to finalize the draft, and by working on that plan, I hope our partnership with the Friends of the Libby Museum we can strengthen. I strongly support in that plan their ambition to raise $1 million in an endowment fund in 5 years. I support that. I think we need to put together a timeline on when we need things. If we're going to put a 2023 warrant article out, I think we need to address parking. And we have this plan, and the plan has up here boat parking, and we need to get a cost for that. And we need to decide how we're going to deal with parking in this area. There's no parking on Lang Pond Road. What's going to happen with the parking in front of the building? And sooner we work on it and sooner we get that put together, I think that's going to be important. They are talking about doing events, and as I look at this, there are 20 parking spaces in the back and about 6 in the front. So we're going to have to address what will happen if they do an event, and how large can it be? Or are we going to need them to have some kind of a shuttle? The proposal also talks about them operating the waterfront parcel. I would like that to be held by the Board of Selectmen to work on. And there are a few other things that I would like changed in that agreement. But I'd like to get going on it. They gave us this July 15th, and we're over a month and we haven't really circled back. So, Brad, if we can get a chance to circle back and to get talking about it and working together, I think we can put something together. And I would like all that put together if we put a warrant article out so the public knows exactly what we have agreed to.
Right, yeah, the meeting I had with them Thursday, last week, they were kind of looking, and I was kind of hoping we'd go through some of this tonight. They were looking to get some comments on this from us, on, like you talked about, you had some certain things there, and I did the same thing. I went through some of these items I have marked up with some comments and stuff. That's what they were looking for, some feedback and comments, and then get together to discuss those and put them together, to, update this, or how we want to call it, to bring this to the final document, that we can all look at and agree on and move on from there. So, I don't know if the board is, I was hoping we'd be prepared to do that, kind of go through that tonight a little bit with that. If not, we can, do it at another time, or what the board's pleasure is.
I have a few things, like they have to put the updated ordinance in for the landing fees for the commercial vessel permit, because they still have it as $25 when it's $3,000.
That's one of the things I had marked too.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I think they should look towards the Woodman Institute Museum in Dover. They actually have a natural history museum there. It's one of their 3 buildings. Right now, they're open from April to November. They charge $15 for adults and $10 for teens and $7 for children. That's significantly more than what is in this plan. So is the amount that they plan on charging, is that feasible, or are they going to have to charge more? I had a couple of other small things in here. Shouldn't they be using the Peabody Museum as a reference for help? They don't even list them as one of their references for helping them, when the Peabody Museum of Yale has already offered their help free of charge. They said that they could talk to them at any time and use them as a resource. And again, if we're really going to have to look at trustees in charge of the care and maintenance of the property and the collections. So, and we all know, Peabody Museum said it, it's more money to care for artifacts than it is to care for and run a museum. So it looks like they're putting the lion's share of the burden of expense upon us. That's a direct quote from Yale Peabody Museum. So there are some things in here that I'm a little concerned about. I think we can work it out, but we have to make sure we're all on the same page.
My opinion would be to go through these, we got them, the content here is listed out, items 1 through 13, to go through those one at a time and kind of make any comments on each one there. I don't know if we're prepared tonight to do that, or if you want to give everybody more time to prepare their statements, then do it at our next meeting, or what the wish of the board would be.
I think we ought to wait till the next meeting myself, because we just got this. I mean, I went through it, I think everybody else has, but is everybody ready to go through it one by one tonight, or not?
Or do we send a list of our concerns in the different sections to Jim that comes out to all of us, and then we can take those
Right.
concerns and go, I mean, I got scribbles here and
Yeah, yeah.
scribbles there and things like that. I can put it in some kind of order for Jim based on the different areas, and he can put them all together. Some of them may be the same, and then we at least have some kind of a plan to go through it.
Yeah.
Does that work, Brad?
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, if they're going to take their day-to-day income from admissions and then show us their bank statements once a year, I want to see, like we see for all our other town budgets, what's happened on a monthly basis. I want to see on a monthly basis where they are, what they've spent, how much they have left in their accounts, so on and so on. So, yeah, there are some things.
Okay, so what I hear is that we will get any questions to Jim and see if we can get them together and,
For our next meeting.
yeah,
Next meeting.
and then set up a meeting with the other half.
Friends.
And are we going to move forward and try to get a price on a boat trailer parking?
So I do have a couple of preferred plans. I can work with a couple of different contractors to provide us a ballpark estimate of what that might be.
Yeah, because we may need to decide whether we want to do it or not.
The other item that, before we go out of this, we have a standard document for the CIP that we submit. I guess my question for the trustees is, document is pretty much the same as it has been historically. The question is, what do we put on it for a date as far as when this is going to occur?
I'm going to say it's going to happen sooner than later.
I think that they're saying they're looking at the 2023
Right.
warrant, and our agreement says when they have the money, we'll put it on. And so I would move forward that they're telling us they have the money, put it on, and we can pull it off if they can't meet.
Okay, so
And we got to get all the figures, and it'll be more than,
I will put it on, put 2023 into the document. And I'll also reach out and just ask, we're going to need to know, early December if they're going to go forward with this in 2023 at the very latest.
so when is it, can we move it on the CIP until we get back a new quote?
I think that's going to be difficult, Linda. I think that's going to be difficult.
Can the
Or
warrant
everybody
article,
else-
can the warrant article be contingent upon them raising 70% of the total funds, meaning that even if the warrant article passes, if they don't have their 70% raised, then it's a null and void warrant article? I would still like to get a sense of what the people in the town want, irregardless. So if we pull the warrant article because they don't have enough money raised, we still are in the same position without any information.
I think some of our past ones have been that way, haven't they? That
Null and void if they,
Yeah.
contingent upon
Correct.
the
I don't have any
donation
problem.
coming in at that amount, and then if not,
It would answer questions for us.
I don't have any problem. I think they're close enough, and
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion to come out of the trustees meeting?
So moved.
second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
I believe you can go on to that harassment policy and disaster recovery plan.
Okay.
So Michelle is here to discuss this. We've recently put all the staff through harassment training. As a result, you see in your packet a couple of updated policies. One of them is updated harassment policy. We made one adjustment today based on some recommendations. And then disaster recovery plan, which Michelle will speak to as well. Our previous harassment policy is 25-plus years old. It served us well, but it was time to update it. And this is also to be followed up by a completely updated personnel policy, which is being sent off to legal for review at this time. Michelle?
Hi, good evening. Michelle Chamberlain, HR Coordinator. I'm here tonight to obtain the board's approval for the harassment policy and the disaster recovery plan. Primex has reviewed these plans and policies and is in support of adopting them. Full-time and permanent part-time employees have participated in harassment training in the last 2 weeks. And as Jim mentioned, we had a suggestion to add the language in yellow, which I just presented to you. The town of Wolfeboro was committed to a work environment in which all individuals are treated with respect and dignity. Therefore, the town expects that all relationships among persons in the town will be businesslike and free of bias, prejudice, and harassment. Also, down below, examples of prohibited harassment include, in yellow, bullying either direct or indirect, whether verbal, physical, electronic, or otherwise. I would like to acknowledge that the Joint Loss Committee has helped in bringing these policies forward, and I'm hoping in the near future to bring forward an updated personnel policy. The town attorney and his staff are reviewing it currently. I have prepared the following motions to get these 2 policies approved. To approve the harassment policy as written and adopt the policy, and to approve the to approve the disaster recovery plan as written and adopt the policy.
So moved, those 2 motions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Thank
any
you.
other discussion?
I just have one comment, Dave.
Yep.
On the disaster recovery plan, on the page, it's the 4th page in, disaster recovery lead. We have, Dave Baker's name there as the person there. And I'm wondering, should we just put the job title that he has there instead of his name? Because as we go along, employees change and stuff, so we would have to update every time there's a turnover in employee. If we have the job title there, the IT director or whatever, then I think it's the same thing on the next, 2 pages later, you flip it, the next page here that has the system application, primary contact, same thing, it has his name, maybe put job title in that slot too.
I can make those adjustments.
And there's just a little spelling area for town. We have TOW, it should be TOWN if that runs through, like on page 2. And that's just, I think if you just do a search,
Okay.
under considerations, disasters may occur at any time, and then I think the town should establish, not TOW, on page 2.
The only thing I
I
would
think
say
that was,
about the TOW, and maybe that's where you were going, that actually is an acronym for Town of Wolfeboro.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got it up above. Okay.
thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
I think we have that
Oh.
already.
What's that?
We have that right.
Get that. With the changes. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you, Michelle. Okay, next, other business. Anybody have any other business? Geez, that went up quick.
Yep. So I have to, and I'm going to try and remember everybody. I wanted to thank everybody who participated and enjoyed the Mount Washington 150th anniversary celebration. We had El Centenario, Morrissey's, Hot Dog Bob, Harmony Coffee, Dockside Restaurant, Downtown Grill, North Main Cafe, Huck's Hoagies. We had nonprofits. We had the Wright Museum, the Boat Museum, the Train Museum, the Libby Museum, and Warmth and More, and the American Legion, the Wolfeboro Police Department, Fire Department, and the Marine Patrol. We also had the Girl Scouts and the Wolfeboro Children's Librarian, who was doing read aloud with some of our youngsters, so that was good. We had vendors there. We had Alley Caps, Made on Earth, Good Hugh Boat, Maxfield Real Estate, and the Mount Washington was selling some of their supplies. We had the Lake Winnipesaukee Association, Wolfeboro Waters, Wentworth Watershed Association. Our company that did our wonderful laser lights was Pinnacle Laser Productions. They're out of Newburyport and Boston, and it's Andrew Dranetz, and the DJs want to be called by their professional names. Master Millions and DJ Spezio were the two DJs. And I did find out today that they actually do first night in Boston, but they did tell me this. They said so far this year, Wolfeboro was the best audience, the most interactive audience, and the most exuberant and respectful audience they've had all year long. And they would love to come back again. For the Mount Washington, I would like to, well, for the Laser Light Show, I'd like to thank the sponsors. It was Maxfield and Island Real Estate, Downtown Grill, Wolfeboro Corinthian Yacht Club, Eastern Propane, Avery Insurance, Walker and Varney, attorneys at law, Leone, McDonald, and Roberts, accountants, Wolfeboro Dock, the Deli Priscoli family, and the Hirschberg family. I need to thank the Select Board for all the support I had, the Town Manager for all the support I had, the DPW for blocking off the docks for the Spirit and the parking lot, the Municipal Electric Department for turning off the floodlights so that it could be seen better, the laser lights at night. Avery, I have to give a second shout out. They supplied the power for the event and let us set up right behind their building. Wolfeboro Casuals, thank you very much. They dimmed their lights in their building so it would add to the effect. Pat Waterman, she gets a double round of applause because she did an absolute fantastic MC in the middle of the event and read the thanks from Chris Sununu, Jean Shaheen, Amy Custer, Chris Pappas, to everyone. I wanted to thank Nate Grays from the New Hampshire Municipal Association, drove all the way down just to see the event. I want to thank the Chamber and the EDC for their banner and for supporting the event. And I have to thank Jared Moreo he is the general manager of the Mount Washington cruise ship, and his whole staff for allowing me to take the idea to the next level and have a wonderful event in Wolfeboro. I want to thank the Parks and Recs for signing the event and getting it forward through the public process. I will say also that I was told by the people on the Mount that they were indebted to us, Wolfeboro, for throwing a party because no other town around the lake did, and they really appreciated it. And they said that all the way back to Laconia from Wolfeboro, the people on the boat praised Wolfeboro and thought that it was a wonderful thing that happened at our town docks. Oh, and mostly, I want to thank, again, the community that came down and enjoyed, and it was nice to see all the faces of people in town that I know having a nice, safe, fun time. Little kids to my mother-in-law, 85 years old, was dancing for an hour and a half in the middle of the town docks. So it was wonderful.
Linda?
Yeah, I have some other business, and I'm going to talk about the dock attendants. I take the trolley down, and part of my routine is I do my errands, and then I go down and walk at the docks. And I was down there on Friday, and there were boats circling around, and of course our Public Works Department is working. And it was very noticeable to me that the big boats came in and parked and took up 2 spaces. People couldn't see into spaces close to the parking lot. I did my trip again on Saturday. Our attendants were there, where one boat was on Friday. There were 2 boats. Everybody was nice in line. The docks were filled, and very few people were milling around waiting and looking for a parking space. I want to thank our town employees. They do an outstanding job. The community and the boaters thank them. And Luke, what a wonderful idea you came up with. So I would like to send those staff people at the end of the summer a thank you note for all the work they've done. Just go down there and see the difference between a day that they're on and a day that they're not on.
I'll agree with that, because I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Committee reports, Brian?
See here. Had a EDC meeting yesterday morning, and that was the only one. And did we talk about anything? What?
You had a CIP meeting.
Oh, yeah, we had a CIP meeting last Friday. Those are the only two I've had. My mind was on one thing for the last week. Sorry.
Luke?
I had a chamber monthly last Thursday.
Linda?
Yeah, I went to the dedication of the George Vander Heyden pickleball court, and Brian joined me, and so did Brad at that. I've had 2 CIP meetings. I've had a library trustee meeting. I went to the EDC meeting. I had the Friends of Pop Whalen. I enjoyed my cruise on the Mount Washington. It was really great. And I just came from a chamber social.
I went down, as I said earlier, to the laser light thing. Thank you again, Brian. That was very nice. Brad?
Yeah, I also attended the laser light show, and we're out on the bay watching it from there, and it was awesome out there. To, you looked like it was going out over the islands and stuff where we were sitting, so it was pretty cool. Had a planning board meeting last night, which was a public forum for detached accessory dwelling units, to have the public input on that. For community TV this morning. Last week we had a Friends of Libby Museum meeting, and plus also earlier in the week we had a Libby Museum Technical Committee meeting. I did come in the other day, 2 days ago, I guess. I can't remember which day it was now. Did interviews with for the Public Works Director, which I'm sure Mr. Pino will fill us in on tonight. And I also, as Linda mentioned, attended the pickleball court dedication down at Foss Field.
Okay, thank you. Town manager's report?
Yeah, the big thing that has occurred over the past couple weeks is, as you're aware, we had an RFQ out for architects for the public safety building. We received 3 individual firms who were interested in the project. We interviewed all 3 firms. We actually are going to change our architect. Couple of reasons. Reason 1 is a different set of eyes on the project. And reason number 2 is their fee schedule. So they've provided us with a very attractive fee schedule, which if for some reason the warrant article going forward next year, whatever it may be, fails, we still have money to be able to do work ongoing. With the previous other 2 architects, we wouldn't be able to. So with that said, one of the things that I've discussed with each member on the committee is that we probably should, just in due diligence, put eyes back onto the existing site. The reason I say this is the existing site has 56,000 square feet of buildable area. Right now, the programming, it looks like we need approximately 29,000 square feet of building. If we were able to accommodate this entirely in a 2-story building on the existing site, simple math tells me that's 14,500 square feet, which tells me it should be able to fit on that partial. The challenge becomes the phasing, which I think there's a way around that. Additionally, when we heard about this project, what's it been, 3-4 years ago now? We were told that the price was going to be $12 million, and today we're being told that same project is in excess of $16 million. A little bit of history. Yarmouth, Maine just built a brand new public safety building, 27,000 square feet. They ended up tearing down the previous building. They were able to achieve that for $8.5 million. Wells built a new public safety building, 40,000 square feet. They did that for $11.8 million. Scarborough, Maine just built one for 53,000 square feet for $21 million. And North Conway just built a standalone fire department, 16,000 square feet for $6.7 million. You average all of those out and you take our current space needs, that brings us to $358 per square foot, which if you multiply that by the 29,000 square feet, that's just over $10 million. So we are going to ask the architect to take a look at the existing site to see if there are any other options available there. The architect also had a brief recommendation to me to hire a real estate agent to look at the potential of sites. I think that is something that I will be discussing with the committee tomorrow, or excuse me, with the architect further tomorrow, and then with the committee when we schedule to meet next. We're still shooting to go forward in 2023 with a warrant article for the project, but it could change. The last meeting we had, we took 2 hours of public input, and most of it was not in favor of the location. So the fact that we've picked a new architect, the fact that there's a lot of question, the fact that I think there is some additional due diligence that has to be done, we're going to be moving quickly. We've got the funds to do it. I just wanted to advise the board. That's pretty much what we're looking at this point. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you. And just so you're aware, the architect is Banwell. Banwell is the same architect which did Pop Whalen. Their fee schedule is $25,000. They do a lot of at-risk work. We will have to hire a construction manager to give us a ballpark price, guaranteed maximum price. We believe we can do this pre-warrant. So that's kind of where we're at. We could end up paying a little bit more for the architect if the project passes, but that would be tied in with the bond, so it'd be a little more palatable to us, but we'd be able to keep moving if for some reason the project fails next year. If the project fails next year and we were with the same architect, we would be not able to do a thing for another full year because we don't have money.
Jim, I have a question. Was there any, between all the other safety buildings that were being built in Maine and Conway, did any of them use the same resources, the same architects, same engineers, same construction companies?
So the two in Maine appeared to Yarmouth and I believe it was Wells used the same construction manager.
Same construction manager, but different construction companies?
No, well, yeah, the construction manager will bring in various subcontractors to do the various jobs. I believe they were all different architects.
That it? Okay. Any questions from the press? Is she on there, Jim?
Oh, I have one more. Not a question. I have to say thank you to Amy Capone Muccio for helping me with the event at Mount Washington, because she was actually my committee member of two. Between her and I, she really helped guide me through the process.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
We couldn't hear her.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me? I don't have sound. No sound. I'm trying. I have no sound. Oh, you can now?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Says she can't hear us.
Okay, I'm listening to the live version because there's no sound on the go-to-meeting version.
Yes.
So there's a lag here. My question is, when you said you were getting a new architect, will the concerns expressed in the last meeting to the public safety building be addressed so that the public will have answers to those?
Alyssa, you're going to have to get a little bit more specific because the last meeting there was an awful lot of concerns that were voiced, and I can't answer that for you specifically without knowing better what you're looking for. So if you want to call me tomorrow, I can try to answer those for you.
Okay, thank you.
An awful lot of concerns that were voiced, and I can't answer.
Love technology.
Okay, next on our agenda is public input, limited to 3 minutes per person, not to exceed 15. Yes.
Hi, you might remember me. I'm Brittany Bowles. I was here sort of right at the beginning of the summer to talk about a potential committee for social good. And in the meantime, I founded a new nonprofit and have received funding. My point of being here tonight with my little son Jasper is to request an exception. I missed the deadline for the temporary event permit, and that is because I just received my check for funding on Monday. And now I am ready to put together a little family yoga and meditation event at Cape Park. I've already spoken with Parks and Rec. I have my insurance. I have everything ready to go. Packets for you all right here. On Sunday, August 28th, from 3 to 5 p.m. for free, all ages, no equipment needed, no trash, no services, just families, kids coming together, meditating, doing a little bit of yoga on the lawn. Don't even need yoga mats. Led by me, for free, just as a hello to our community before school starts. The reason we exist is because suicide is the second leading cause of death for kids. We're in a huge mental health crisis. It's a huge problem. Going into school is a major stressor for kids and families alike. It's vital to our community that we have something like this for them now. So if I can approach you as I have your packets.
You want to be four? Oh.
Thank you.
Totally filled out except for the town side. If you want me to run around and ask everybody for their signatures, I'm happy to. I know it's my fault that I'm late. I'm super sorry, but if ever there was an easy, good for everybody exception to make, I beg that it be this one. And I'm here for any questions that you might have.
This, when was the date? August 27th?
August 28th. It's a Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m.
And I assume you talked to Amy and that time on the calendar's free for Cape Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Brittany reached out to me yesterday by Facebook or Messenger, and I did say, to contact Amy, but, normally, we really need you to, in the future, just, it's very important because, we normally notice a public hearing, and it gives the public an opportunity to come in and, voice an opinion on it, and I realize you just got your insurance yesterday. I also just wanted to say, I do, applaud your enthusiasm and at the last meeting, and these are exactly the kind of things we want to see going on. It's just you really have to be diligent. I don't know what the rest of the board's going to say, but very diligent about these. We do this for a reason, even though it might seem, that it's a very simple thing, but it's that's why we notice it so far ahead of time.
Yeah, I understand that. I respect what you guys do so much. I totally get it.
I guess I'm with Luke. We can forgive you once, but we aren't going to do it twice. So
I won't ever not be funded again.
I don't have an issue.
I'm all for it.
I don't see any problem with it.
Well, would somebody like to make a motion
I'll make a
to
motion
approve
to,
this? And obviously, we can't have a public hearing before it, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the Magic Yoga in the Park event 3 to 5 p.m. Sunday, August 24 at Kate Park, Wolfeboro, free of charge for all citizens to come and enjoy meditation and yoga and sit and create a nice mental health event for our community.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else would like to speak to us?
Yes, I didn't know whether to address this when you were at the Libby trustees meeting, so I saved it until now, public comment. It's very quick and simple. Linda will remember this. 7 to Save by the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance. We got that for the town hall. It's more or less something notable that if you get nominated and put on the list, it's a feather in your cap. And so I'm here to ask if the board would allow Brad, if he will, to facilitate the form that goes in to the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance. It's an application form. It's not any money involved. And it would be a credit to the town and to the Libby if they could get nominated. It's a stiff competition. I don't know if they would succeed. Maybe you could work with one of the friends to fill it out. It's simple. I'll email it to you, Jim, and you can distribute it. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
My name is Josephine Amatucci. This is 1.5 pages. This is concerning my First Amendment right to redress my grievances. I'm here to warn the public of the corruption beyond belief that is going on in the town, in the police station, with the police commissioners, but most of all in the courts by the judges. First of all, I'll tell the public that Police Chief Dean Rondeau is a criminal. In a continuing conduct, he is accusing me of serious offenses that he knows all along I did not commit. And in doing so, he is also contacted the Department of Safety, falsely accusing me and trying to get my license to drive revoked. There is no way for the public to go for help against police misconduct. You heard the selectmen at the previous hearing that I appeared, that they do not and will not investigate Rondeau. They claim it's the duty of the police department, but you heard Captain Libby, who was present, and he testified that he could not investigate Rondeau because he was his chief, his police chief, and there was a conflict of interest. And Livy said he gave my complaint against Rondeau to the police commissioners, but the police commissioners have no authority to investigate, and they are obligated to get an outside, unbiased investigation, but they refused to do so. Then I went to the district attorney, because I don't know who to go to. Hello? To the district attorney, Michaela Andruzzi, to ask her if she did an investigation on Rondeau, as I informed her of Rondeau's unlawful actions against me. But she refused to answer me, and she refused to tell me if she investigated, and she told me to contact her attorney. Everybody's got an attorney. I contacted her attorney, who told me he would get back to me to see if there was an investigation done on Rondeau, but he never called me, and he never answered my phone calls. Now, if that's not bad enough, people, you go to courts and you file a lawsuit against Rondeau, and the judges knowingly and deliberately disregard the facts you put in front of them. They disregard the law in your case. And in a continuing procedure, they distort the facts and the law. These facts of the judge's conduct are confirmed by information I have by the Massachusetts School of Law, by evidence by the Northwestern law professor Anthony D'Amato, and by a law professor, Monroe Friedman, who in a conference of federal judges about when we go to court and file a lawsuit against the police, judicial opinions falsify the facts of your case. In all my lawsuits against the police, the judiciary deliberately falsified the merits of my case. For instance, when I filed a lawsuit against Rondeau, who had no probable cause to accuse me of an assault with bodily injury, where the evidence was before the judge, showing an affidavit where the alleged victim of this bodily injury very plainly stated he had no injury. But the judge based the claim on an unlawful arrest, not on a malicious prosecution, to distort the facts of the case, which an arrest and a malicious prosecution are very different. And the judge stated this in his distortion: where I was not physically seized, I was not, when I was arrested, but I was never arrested. I never said I was arrested. He said, where I was not physically seized when I was arrested, I had no Fourth Amendment claim. However, in a malicious prosecution where there is a detention and seizure of your liberty rights when you are forced to appear in court, this is, in fact, a Fourth Amendment malicious prosecution, as verified by the United States Supreme Court. This is a sample of the corruption. You have people, you have no idea what they're doing to you, to us. The corruption is so bad, and it's going on and on and on. I will show the public more of this misconduct in the near future. of the judges and what they do and what they say. And we must do something, as the government has taken away all our civil rights. We will never be allowed to collect damages, as is our rights under the federal Constitution, the law of the land, which, by the way, a judge will never mention a violation of your federal Constitution. He'll always keep that out, because you have a right, and he knows you have a right, and that's why they don't mention it. The bottom line is, I will help, and we will reform the system. We must act in our civil rights, because they will be continuously denied.
Thank you.
I got one more. I have one question to ask you.
Your time.
Do you have the duty to protect us? You, the town selectman and manager. Do you, under the law, because we're paying you, honey, to protect us? So, am I right that you're supposed to protect us? Because you're not protecting me against all these criminals. What about Chase, a criminal who was fired in Danvers, and you appointed him police chief here? You appoint criminals like you appointed Rondeau, who was a criminal when you appointed him as a police chief. So how are you protecting me?
Thank you for your time. Somebody make a motion to go into non-public, please.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Yes, yes, yes.
We're now in non-public.
My family, on about July 14th, reached out to the police department, and we requested the dispatch logs for the documentation of what we're inquiring about. According to the dispatcher, Mia Loins, she claimed on the recorded phone call that they never give out dispatch logs. It went back and forth for about 20 minutes on the phone call, which at that point, after getting frustrated, I picked up the phone and I called Michaela, the county attorney. And Michaela was very responsive, very concise. She had reached out to the PD, and within that same day, I got a phone call back. Michaela informed myself that we were allowed to go pick up the request for the documentation the following day. So she was fairly efficient in my dealings with her. Most recently, for our own personal needs, we also requested a 91A for a period of time that was over many months. After the Wolfeboro PD concluded this request, we were informed by the dispatcher yesterday that we were allowed to go down to the PD and inspect the records. However, we could not take our own copies via the photos. We wanted to go down and take pictures of the documentation for the request, and we were actually denied. So according to, I'm sure you guys are familiar, the 91A law, it actually specifically states that you're allowed to go down and take photocopies. One of the ways to be able to duplicate the documents specifically says photographs. So we reached out to the police commissioner regarding, in part, some of these issues mentioned. After we responded to the police commissioner's initial response, we have yet to receive a reply back regarding what we feel as though is our family being denied for those requests. We also reached out to the Wolfeboro Police Department's prosecutor, Timothy Morgan, who failed to return a phone call twice to myself regarding some of these issues. I spoke to legal counsel myself, and according to that conversation in particular, for the PD to deny us being able to take photos of these documents is not something by law that they're allowed to do. I also spoke to other individuals within independent media as well as the mainstream media, and according to my conversations with them, this has not been a pattern that these individuals within the media have experienced, and these media outlets are responded to without arguing and provided the information without charge. According to the New Hampshire Municipal Association, the PD is only allowed to charge flat fees for 91A copy request, and we have an email from the PD that they have intentions of charging my family $5 for the first cover page and $1 for every page thereafter. The law states that we're only to be charged just the cover to copy, the photocopies. For reference, the Wolfeboro Library charges 15 cents a copy for black and white. According to the law, 91A8, this is a liability and could result in a lawsuit against the department if, according to the dispatcher's own statements, are true, and the PD has never released information dispatch logs, and the Wolfeboro PD has been violating individual civil rights within our community for quite some time, not just our families, but also many other families within the individuals within this community for court proceedings or whatever they may use those documents for, thus putting those individuals, I feel, in jeopardy, which was my case with my own personal family and my children. It's quite the opposite of what's in public's best interest, considering we're both trying to accomplish the same goal. To my understanding, unless a topic is placed on the board's agenda, then the board cannot take actions, but I would like to request that if I can, present this on the next Board of Selectmen's meeting for an action to be taken on this, for the chief of police to be re-educated down to the patrolman regarding handling these requests. It's a liability, it's unnecessary, and we feel is a violation of civil rights under law. These violations have occurred on recorded phone calls within the PD, most recently just last night with ourselves and the dispatcher. I would like to know if there can be any procedure put in place and posted on the front door of the police department outlining 91A requests, and if an individual is unsatisfied, what the appropriate channels would be to grieve to, including the Board of Selectmen. It's times like this that drives a wedge between the public and the police over a shared common outcome, which is upholding the law, one through criminal law enforcement, the other through civil court, and the chief should not be gatekeeping information which would protect a family from harm, which was our family's particular case. Choosing basically between arguing back and forth endlessly with the police and reciting laws, wasting taxpayer money, or having to choose between disregarding our family's well-being. That's all.
Okay.
Dave?
Yeah, go ahead.
So tomorrow night there is a police commission meeting.
Okay.
I'm the liaison to the police commission for the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
I don't know if there'll be a public session in it, but certainly if you want to come to the meeting, it's at the library. And it is at 4 p.m., the Bradley Room at the library.
Okay.
I would encourage you to come to that, and I'll be there. So that would be, we have a police commission form of, in town of Wolfeboro still uses a police commission. So a lot of the questions you just asked, I believe, are more handled towards that.
Okay.
But beyond that, I think that would be a good step, and I certainly will be there. So if you want to come and speak there, I think that'd be important for them to hear too.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I was going to just tell you that Wolfeboro is a little different than most towns.
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen has no control over the police department other than funding, okay, through the budget committee.
Mm-hmm.
They have a police commission of 3 individuals. They control the police department and also the dispatch center. So it's really out of our bailiwick, if you will, that the police commissioners run the police department. We do not. Fine to bring it to our attention, make the public aware of it.
Okay.
I don't have any issue with that at all. But we don't have the control over the police department that most people think. You heard something earlier, just before you. But anyway, we are separate from them, other than the funding through the budget committee. So I don't have any problems listening. I think Luke's got the best idea that you go directly to one of their meetings where you'll have probably the chief and the captain and the 3 commissioners will be there as well. Okay?
Okay.
And I want to thank you for your professionalism and the way you spoke, and you were eloquent and you were reasonable, and it's nice to have someone express their point of views in a civilized fashion, so I thank you.
Sure. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, I have a motion to go into non-public again?
Is there anybody
Is there
else?
anybody else who wants to speak at this point? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we go into non-public session.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Yes, yes.